Hello, people. You have your coffee ready. I have mine. So, for my part, we're ready to go. Hello, Poo Ninja. Hello from the moon, where everybody's from. Okay. Let's bring that up. How does it come up? When does it want to come up? Now it comes up. Okay. There you heard. So let us know where are you guys from. Yeah, weekly Wednesday live time. And I am still Juha Ruokangas, your humble servant, on a mission from the gods and goddesses, as we've learned, of fretted instruments. So thanks for joining in. Very much appreciated. It is October 14th, year 2020, and today we have gathered to talk about us, to talk about the people who enjoy guitars, and more precisely, we'll discuss about buying guitars. But before we dive in, I have to bring up two comments from last week when I did the interview with Michael Spalt. The first one, I'll bring it to the screen for you. Hunter Martin writes, "Hey, what's up? Joining you from a guitar factory whose owner you interviewed a few weeks ago. Cheers from California." So I happen to know that Hunter, he works for Tom Anderson Guitar Works. Thank you, Hunter, for chiming in. Very cool that you tuned in, and keep up the great work. My best regards to Tom, in case you're happening to be watching or listening to this episode as well. And another one, which I kind of feel bummed that we didn't bring up last week, but I'm gonna bring it up now. So this one from Tuli Bases, this guy, Aaron Bach. Aaron writes, "So cool to see you two together." He refers to Michael Spalt and me. "All guitar building stuff aside, you guys sure made my world a better place. We really miss you. Greetings from Maryland." Well, Aaron, what can I say? Speechless. We'll send your regards to Michael. We miss you too. All the best from us all in Finland to you guys in Maryland. Saw some pictures from your workshop. I think it looks really great, and your house looks great. So congratulations for all that. So until the next time our paths cross. Yeah. So now we're gonna. Okay. Verde Guitars, coffee in hand from Mexico City. Welcome. Great. Guys, let's get to it. Inspired by the interviews from last 7 weeks. I can't believe it. 7 interviews, 7 weeks. And also tying in to a couple of earlier videos I've done. There was the interview quite a long time ago with Mr. Henning Pauly from HP42, and the one I had titled 5 Reasons Not to Order a Custom Guitar. Yeah, a little provocative punchline, but you know, I think for me it makes sense, and it is not always a great idea to order a guitar. So watch that video so you'll find out what it's about. The links to both of these videos and also to a playlist of that 7-episode series of interviews, Factory vs. Luthier, there all the links to those specific videos are below. But this time the perspective is a bit different, and I've collected for you some tips, a sort of a guide for guitar buyers. Because there are so many things to consider that it would be absurd for me to claim that I could address it all in this video. we should write a book about it. But I decided to narrow this down to 10 pointers that I feel are universally valid. No matter whether you're considering to buy your very first guitar, or if you're a parent buying a guitar to your child, if you're a more advanced player who already owns guitars, knows a thing or two about them, serious collector, professional musician, so on. I think there might be something for all you guys here, so stay tuned. Yeah, 10 tips from me to you, and some of you might feel I'm missing something essentially important, which is most likely happening, is most likely true. So please leave your own pieces of advice to the comments. So we will together, you guys and me, we will together help as many people as possible with this video. So these 10 tips I've listed. They don't come in any particular order, but I have left the one I feel is the most important point, or well, what I feel is a great reference point for all of us to calibrate ourselves with. So I'll leave that one last. That will also keep you guys watching there, so you can't leave before that last one. Yeah, and a little, well, a disclaimer or a statement of sorts that will lead us into the topic for today. Considering the fact that my profession, what I'm doing for my living. So I am, of course, very proud of the work we do here in my shop, privileged to have such a fantastic team, extremely proud of the guitars, the basses we make, and I know that some of you who watch these videos already play our instruments, and to those who don't, but yet to whom our work speaks to, I want to say, of course, I wish one day you will get the chance to own our instrument. And now that I got that off my chest, let's dive in. If you're uncertain which way to go in purchasing a guitar, maybe you don't quite yet know what you want, maybe you're confused, the ocean of brands, the ocean of guitar styles, or perhaps your budget sets certain limits, worry not. I think these tips will be of help to you. So here we go. First off, tip number 1. Buy within a comfortable budget. It is important to be responsible about your finances and adjust your guitar purchase to be manageable in your life situation. In other words, common sense people, sure, by investing more, say high-end handmade guitar by an experienced, reputable maker, you could get more refined workmanship, perhaps a more satisfying purchasing experience, even smoother playability, higher quality experience in general. But a tight budget, really, it doesn't mean that you can't find a perfectly playable, great sounding guitar that does its job perfectly well. We live in a time where the quality of guitars at a relatively low price point has increased like really crazy. So low budget simply should not, it will not stop you from finding yourself a good, inspiring guitar. So there you go. Moving on. Let's not move on yet. We have here something. Maybe I'll just bring it up. Teemu says, give a tip. What to check out when trying out a possibly new guitar, for example, in a guitar shop. Is playing one's favorite riffs enough? There will be an answer to this question. Just keep watching, keep listening. This question will be answered, I promise. So now we're moving on to tip number 2. This continues directly from the first one, and it goes especially to the inexperienced guitar buyer. But I should add, it is every bit as valid to many of you who consider yourself totally pro hard-boiled guitar buyers, whatever that means. And here comes. Always calculate into your purchasing budget a little bit extra. So when you have that new guitar in your hands, whether it's, pre-owned, whether it's brand new guitar, doesn't make any difference. Whether it's a cheap guitar, whether it's a more expensive guitar, you should have a little extra so you can afford, first off, take it to a pro guitar repair shop for a little overhaul and setup, or at least a little just overhaul, like checkup, is that everything is fine. This might sound contradictory to you. So why take a new guitar to a repair shop? Well, there are two very, very good reasons for this. So first, the shop, the seller, maybe it's an individual person. So anyway, whoever sold you the guitar might or might not advertise that this guitar, it's checked, it's adjusted and whatnot before it goes out the door. But don't believe what they say. They might have done it, sure, but seriously, my long-term experience is that new guitars, and this is as true about cheap ones as it is of, unfortunately, surprisingly high-priced guitars as well. The guitars often go out the door in horrible condition. It shouldn't be that way, and sure, there are lots of exceptions to this rule. Maybe even my view can be biased because I'm seeing it from certain perspectives. So certainly there are great guitar shops who have luthiers even working for them, but still, I'd say better safe than sorry here. A seller may have many reasons to say the guitar is inspected by them, even if it isn't. Like, it's one way to make them appear trustworthy. Look, the guitar is inspected, so they might get the sale done. Or in the very worst case, the kind of the ugly side of things, they might have noticed that if you're inexperienced, they might have noticed that you don't know much. So the bad retailer with less than honest intentions might even want to get rid of a bad guitar, and sell it to you. Now that's nasty thinking, and most dealers probably wouldn't do such a thing, but hey, it's your hard-earned money, so really better safe than sorry, and always expect the worst when you're buying a guitar. Like buying a used car or something. Especially this rule of thumb is useful for those of you who don't have experience in analyzing whether a guitar is well adjusted, whether it's all healthy like it's supposed to be. If the electronics work the way they should. Now, some of you might argue against, saying, oh well, but I know how to adjust my guitars. And yeah, maybe you do, and then it's all okay. If you know for a fact that you can tell when a guitar is all good, then of course don't follow my advice. Common sense here also. So I have to honestly say, it's not one or two times on my career that I have witnessed a situation where an experienced guitar enthusiast, a musician, has fallen in love with this or that guitar, a reissue of this or that, or genuine vintage this or that, or whatever it could be. And you know how we human beings are when we fall in love. we go totally blind and deaf. And when that honeymoon excitement is over, sometimes you sober up from that endorphin high and your eyes open, and that perfect guitar, the holy grail, you spent all your savings, and in the very worst case, your wife's savings. Referring here to my first tip, being a responsible person. You notice that after the honeymoon, the guitar, it wasn't quite what you thought it was. So really a good idea to have a second opinion, to have someone have a look at the guitar, someone who isn't head over heels, someone pro. And now this brings me to the second point, why it's a good idea to include this service fee to your guitar purchase budget in the first place. When you buy a new guitar or a used guitar from a reputable, reliable dealer, you do typically have a remorse period. So if you find that the product doesn't fulfill your expectation, or there's something iffy about it, something suspicious, you can still back off. You know, like, what if you don't know enough about guitars to fully understand if it is all okay with that guitar? What if there's something iffy in the neck joint or that acoustic you might have spent, I don't know, thousands for, but you don't notice it yourself? That's why it's often a good idea to ask a second opinion from a pro and have the guitar adjusted for you. I should add, however, when you take a guitar, a new guitar, and this is very important, when you take it to your trusted luthier to have it looked over. If it's a brand new guitar, you have to tell the luthier to not do anything to it until if there is something wrong with it, really like warranty type of wrong with it, that luthier shouldn't do anything. He or she just should, I mean, that's what a pro should do anyways, but you it's good for you to know as well, you know, that to inform or kind of advise, instruct the luthier that if there's something like that, do not touch it, just let me know, so I will contact the seller. Because now if that luthier makes and fixes that something, then the seller has a point in saying that, okay, this is not a warranty issue. This is not a warranty, authorized repair shop. So, and it's been meddled with. So the warranty is void. So be careful. Be careful there too. Yeah. Well, anyways, a pro setup makes a world of difference to a guitar. Often that's one of the crucial points where even many quite pricey guitars fail. The setup is done poorly, or maybe the adjustments were fine when the final checkup was done at the factory, but now the instrument is in a different climate and has changed, and maybe the distributor hasn't done anything about it, and blah 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 blah. Or maybe it's stood on a shop wall for an extended period of time. It happens. These things happen. So yeah. Let's see, what do we have here? We have Axe Hessel saying, I really enjoyed the book recommendations in previous videos. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hope there is a philosophical book about buying a good guitar. I'm not so sure there is. Maybe there is. There might be something. Books, yeah, we should do another video, like top 10 guitar books. Something inspiring, maybe. Yeah. What else is here? Poo Ninja, real setup, fine tuning is important for playability. Yes. Poo Ninja is saying, for some time, why do new guitars frets feel gritty until you play them in a bit? Well, if this happens in a new guitar, gritty, if the frets feel gritty, there's basically two reasons that can cause it. One is that the fret dressing is poorly done. So there is some kind of file marks or something. So when you do little vibrato, so this feels kind of unpleasant because of those file marks, sanding marks in the frets. And if the guitar would then have nickel silver traditional type of fret material, when you're playing it, the fret material is soft enough so it will kind of round off and start feeling a little bit better over time. If the guitar has stainless steel frets and gritty feeling frets like that, that doesn't wear down, so it's gonna be there. It's gonna remain like that until somebody does something about it. Somebody pro does something about it. So So that's also one good thing to remember. So basically, I would say this is an issue in a new guitar if the frets feel gritty when the guitar is new. But again, if you're buying a really, let's say, like a really low budget guitar, you know, you can't have heaven on earth for whatever money you paid for this instrument. If it's like really like the lower end. So I really don't even know how do the distributors, how do the retailers, the factories, how do they, what is their policy in this kind of thing? But I mean, technically speaking, it shouldn't feel gritty. I mean, that's just, it's not right. So anyway, moving on. What do we have next? Tip number 3. Tip number 3. Remember, yeah, okay, let's start over. I will take a sip of coffee first. Remember who you're buying the guitar for. What does that mean? Now, people may have different motives to buy guitars, and how should I phrase this? If you're out to buy a guitar in order to impress your friends, or the seller recommends this guitar to you, you don't feel the connection to the instrument. If there's great reviews of an instrument, but but it still doesn't kind of, if you just kind of following outside advice till the end and putting your money on the line, it's not going to end well. The guitar is really a personal instrument. It's an instrument that should make the player's heart beat a little bit faster. A guitar can really be an item that when it's a good fit, it brings you that same enjoyment, you know, a smile on your face every time you pick it up, be it now, be it 5 years, be it 10 years from now. So it's important that you enjoy the guitar, that you feel the connection to it, that the instrument inspires you to pick it up and play, to rehearse, to become a better player. Even when collecting guitars, I'd say that the most important aspect, or the way I see it, should be, well, should or should not, I feel should be, my opinion, enjoyment. The happiness that having a great, inspiring guitar brings to your life, it's certainly a value on its own. So sure, you can invest, meaning a monetary investment. You can invest into guitars as well. I mean, guitars can be a great investment in the long term. So if you have the possibility, if you have the know-how, if you invest also that time to really educate yourself what purchases to do, if that's your goal, if that gives you the joy, then by all means, that's you, go for it. And still, I'd argue that when one sees, if one sees the monetary value as the primary engine, you're just missing out so much. There's so much more enjoyment in guitars, in the whole spectrum that's out there. Like, look, I have this guitar here. It's a Levin guitar, made in Sweden back in the 40s. It isn't worth much anything. The monetary value isn't really anything. But but for me, it's priceless. It is a guitar that my wife Emma saved from being thrown away, and she fixed it. Well, Emma is a guitar maker as well. Maybe some of you didn't know. Just mentioning, just to make sure that you know. So she repaired it and gave it to me as a present, as a gift. This is years and years ago. It's a beautiful little guitar. You know, the back, sides, the neck, It's made of figured birch. So there's even a link to my guitar brand. So I'm not much of a guitar collector, but I have a few, and I really love each one of them. Every time I pick one of them up, brings me joy. And notice this is regardless of the price tag. So just saying. Oh, one more addition. I have to add that in the same way, if you're out and about as a parent buying a guitar to your child, it's not such a great idea to push your idea of an inspiring guitar too much. You know, it's really a delicate business finding an instrument that inspires your child to play. Remember, that guitar is for the child. That guitar is not for you. So remember who you're buying the guitar for. So there was my tip number 3. And we're moving on. We're moving on to tip number 4. Think outside the box. What does that mean? It means be courageous. Don't be scared to try the type of guitars that you might think that you don't like. But in fact, the truth is you haven't even tried. You haven't even felt those guitars on your hands. So, in other words, put away your predispositions, your prejudices, and try all different kind of guitars. Look, even if you wouldn't like how it looks like, the shape or the color is wrong, and don't think about it like that. Take it as an exploration. Because even if you don't like something about a new guitar, I don't mean you need to buy it, but try it. Because you might find a detail or ergonomic feature, sound that triggers something, opens new possibilities, educates you. Because we human beings, I'm as guilty to this as anybody, we tend to lean back to the safe, familiar choices. We look for that same all over and all over again. Okay, nothing wrong there either. Those classics are classics for a reason. But hey, a breath of fresh air, it does good to any of us. I remember years ago discussing with one of the research development people from Martin Guitars, and he said to me that he kind of envies guitar makers in my position, because we can do new. He felt this way, that we can do new stuff. We don't have that baggage, that heavyweight legacy to carry around. So he went on explaining how he feels the iconic companies such as Martin, Gibson, Fender, they're in some ways prisoners of their own past, legacy brands. Like a good example would be that I think they've broken out of the prison in some ways in the modern age, especially, but it is still heavily there. Like Martin, they have this legendary pre-World War II guitar models that they are really. Those are probably the most sought after vintage acoustic guitars, flat top steel string guitars in the world. And yeah, so the demand is so huge. So Martin reintroduced some of these models, and they made them historically correct, down to the fact that the reissue guitars do not have an adjustable truss rod. They just have a steel rod in the neck, like the originals did. And people buy those guitars like crazy, even if the reality is that with nearly 100% certainty, when that guitar ages, the neck will have to be reset one day. It's just given. There's no adjustment, and it will, over time, it will give in just enough so that you need to make that reset, and it's going to be kind of violent and has to be done to the guitar. So it's just mad, you know, that it goes like that. Then again, when changing perspective, it's not only these legacy companies that are like that. We are, you and me, we are like that too. We like things the way they were always done. The good old times are always, behind us in the past. Rarely we talk about the good future times. Even though there's some food for thought, it might make our lives more joyous, more to look forward to, thinking of it in that way. Yeah, the good future times are coming, so rather than look into the reverse mirror, through our lives. It's getting quite philosophical now. But yeah, conclusion, do remember to rattle those chains from time to time. Make a conscious effort to evolve, to improve, to look for new ways to educate yourself. Trying all possible different guitars, even those weirdest ones you might laugh about when seeing them online. It's all education. I think it's just quite lame and kind of pathetic to have an opinion on something that you haven't really had any first-hand experience about, and you haven't taken it into your hands that, with the thought that, okay, I'm going to give this guitar a chance. I'm going to give this guitar a fair chance because somebody has designed it, somebody has put a lot of thought into it maybe, and so I'm going to try to see the good in it. Okay, that's that. What is Søren saying here? Hello, Søren. Buying a handmade guitar that you cannot really test before buying actually takes some courage. You're absolutely right, and we're going to talk about this also in a while. You're bringing up a very good point, so we're gonna get back to that. What else do we have here? Poo Ninja, I keep trying fat hollow body electrics and they don't feel right, but shredder through necks feel right. There you go. Now you know because you've tried. now you know this. Axe Hessel is bringing up more. We're gonna get back to all of this stuff. I mean, it's coming. So trying many guitars is very important tip. So many people seem to be afraid to try. Do you have any experience with people who were afraid to try your guitars? Yes, I do. We'll get back to that also later. I think. Yeah, we will. Yeah, I have it there. I have it coming. Look, I have it all covered. You just need to sit back and have that coffee, and we're gonna go through this. Okay, time for my top tip number 5. Top tip number 5. So what is that? Different jobs have different tools. So what does this mean? Well, I noticed that players quite often fantasize of what I call Swiss Army knife guitar, a do-it-all guitar. And in some respects, the modern technology does allow this on a level that your audience won't notice anything funny about it. I mean that the modeling technologies, they are becoming better and better, and you can technically make one guitar these days sound like any guitar. Like you can make one modeling amplifier, roughly speaking, to sound like any amplifier. Or you can make that guitar sound like any musical instrument for that matter. But those of us to whom the guitar can be considered as an extension of our body, an instrument to express ourselves with, the Swiss Army knife isn't most often the best tool for the job. It can be a lifesaver in a tough situation, but no matter which tool you pull out from that multi-blade knife, it's not a serious replacement for the real thing. scissors, knives, files, screwdrivers, you know what I mean? Right, so, well, this is the same with guitars. Now, again, mind you, if that is what makes you tick, that Swiss knife thing, if that's your thing, that you want to have that really do-it-all crazy thing that does everything, or if your job as a guitarist depends on having that do-it-all guitar on stage, maybe, I don't know, like cruise ship, traveling light, gigging 4 sets a day, all possible styles of music, yes, then that's the answer. But if you're looking for the ideal guitar for you to play your blues or to shred your heart out, it is more likely that the do-it-all isn't the most inspiring instrument for that singled out purpose. Different jobs have different tools. If you need to hammer a nail in, well, you can hammer one nail in with a combination hammer that also has a saw, file, wrench, and I don't know, barbecue grill integrated into it. And you know, but if you need to hammer in 100 nails, you take a hammer, a real hammer, and if you have to pound in 10,000 nails, you take a freaking nail gun. So for different players, this may translate in different ways. Maybe you only play metal, then you might be fine with one guitar or two if you need a spare on stage. Another player might seriously, and I'm not undermining anything. I think it's just, and I'm not exaggerating. Another player might seriously need 10 to 15 different guitars easily to get all the jobs done in the most inspiring, joyous way. If you think of a professional, I mean, that's the toolbox. That's the toolbox for the professional. Yeah, so that's my tip number 5. Hello, Damien. Welcome to the broadcast. Good to have you here. We're moving on. We're moving on to tip number 6. Tip number 6. I already mentioned this in some earlier video, sort of as a side comment, but it is an essentially important point of view, so it has to be included here. So here comes. Do not compromise. Don't compromise. If you really, really know the right guitar for you, but you don't have the possibility to buy it or to order it, patience, my Padawan. Take your time. Save. Make a plan. It will work out. Seriously, if you know your holy grail guitar, it is better to save up and wait than to buy something else as a comfort. This is a slippery slope, and you'll just end up flipping from guitar to another. And soon enough, you've spent the same money to these 4 different compromise comfort guitars as you would have paid for that true love guitar. So, okay, this might sound contradicting to you with my first tip when I was saying to buy, telling you to buy within a comfortable budget, but it's not quite the same thing. Look, I don't think it's a great idea to compromise other essential priorities in life, you know, drift into debt or into tensions with the family because of a guitar. It's absurd, and it's not responsible, and it will backfire. But this one, to not compromise, I mean more a situation where you do act responsibly, you do take other aspects in life into consideration, you do the math, really, you make a calculation, you make a plan, and when you have it all worked out, like, okay, I have to save so and so much every month for the next 2 years, then I'll be able to pull the trigger. I'll be able to make that order. And when you have it there that far, You just need to stick to your guns. Stick to your plan. Work hard. That's what I mean by not compromising. Don't give in to that almost perfect temptation. You'll just end up losing money by trading. It can be a vicious circle there. Vicious cycle. Cycle, something. What do we have here? Greg. What does Greg say? Hello, Greg. Nice to see you here. I'm not seeing you, but I'm seeing your comment anyway. So Greg says, agreed, the Swiss Army knife can be super helpful, but it will never replace the real tools. And that's actually coming from a Swiss guy. There you go. Puninja, you're saving for a woody gem right now. Great. Those are beautiful guitars. Keep on saving. Send me a picture when you have it. We have two Swiss guys. That's why they have changed language here. That's guys. That's not allowed. You're supposed to do this in English. No. Okay, you can. You can talk in your whatever language that is, French. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Now the chat is distracting me too much. Let's go back to business. Next, let's say that you know exactly the style, the sound you want from your new guitar. You know exactly what it should be, but you're a beginner. Maybe taking your first steps in learning guitar. So how do you find a good one? If you don't have the knowledge when you're holding that guitar, you're not an advanced player yet to tell the difference. So here comes the tip number 7. Ask for help. Ask a friend who is more experienced, or ask your guitar teacher, ask a friend of a friend. Find someone. It is generally better if you find someone else than the guitar seller or retailer to help you out, for obvious reasons. Someone who doesn't have their own agenda in this deal. Someone who can be somewhat objective, if any of us can. We all have our subjective biases that we're looking through certain kinds of sunglasses and seeing things different. And if you find it impossible to locate someone knowledgeable within your social circles, you could even ask around a bit, in case your local guitar repair shop would agree to help out, like consulting of some sort. It really can save you from a lot of harm, even if you'd pay a little to someone to help you, in case you don't have the knowledge and the skill yet. Now, this piece of advice goes equally to you who has a limited budget, or to you who has a generous amount of money to spend. I mean, buying high-end doesn't guarantee anything either, unfortunately. Experience is much needed on that front too. Yeah. So that was straightforward. Now they're apologizing. They're French. Yeah. No need to apologize. Just go ahead. We're moving on to tip number 8. The clock is ticking. So let's get to it. People, do the research. No need to rush into buying. So if you're suffering from a serious gas attack, guitar acquisition syndrome attack, pour some ice to your pants or something. Take a deep breath. Do something. Go out for, take a swim. Do something. we are so blessed to live in this time. There are so many great sources of information out there. So educate yourself. Join forums, Facebook groups. This is the Gear Page forum. Endless possibilities for great peer-to-peer support. Like we have in Finland. Okay, this is in Finnish, so this is for you French guys. You can't access. Well, you can access, but you wouldn't understand anything. In Finland, we have this beautiful Facebook group. It's called Soitinten Kuningas, the King of Instruments. Shout out to Mikko Kosonen. What a great forum for Finnish guitar players. It's just unbelievable work, and big thumbs up for you for doing it. There are many great YouTube channels like Philip McKnight, HP42, The Guitar Geek, Mary Spender, That Pedal Show. There's so much. There's just so much out there. It's unbelievable. It's limitless. And so much of this information is absolutely free of charge. It doesn't cost a dime. You know, and we have the Ruokangas Rendezvous Facebook group, so you can join in and continue discussions there as well. And also, so this addresses that one question there, I think, may address. You know, are people afraid to approach us, afraid to try our guitars? So in case you would happen to be balancing on that ledge, considering the chance of ordering or purchasing an instrument from us. So no need to be afraid. I'm just a regular guy. So you know, email works, all the regular channels, phone, Zoom, video calls, whatnot. So we can talk. So then you can challenge me. You can ask all those nasty, difficult questions, and you can do your absolute best to prove me wrong. That addresses partly the question about being afraid of approaching us. It doesn't quite yet address all like trying the guitars, but that's coming also. So I haven't left that one out either. There are also we already referred to it. So there's so much books where you can learn more about guitars. So I haven't made a note about that. You know, my top 10 favorite guitar books or something. I've added a note for that. So guys, the bottom line, summarizing, go out there and arm yourselves with knowledge. Remember, the more knowledgeable you become over time, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take time, like any skill. When you learn about guitars, it takes years and years and years. But the knowledgeable you become over time, the better you learn to spend your money when buying guitars. So I have questions also. Where have you learned from? So please leave your best tips to the comments. Or where could your peers, your brothers and sisters in arms, learn from? Leave a comment and give advice, your advice also. So we're doing this together, remember. It's not only me. You have responsibilities also, people. Okay, next, we have a very interesting one coming, the ninth one. But before that, let me bring this one. Otto says, yes, ordering a handmade guitar takes courage, but you can test all kinds of body types, woods, bridges, knob positions by going to guitar stores and playing guitars there. Well, this is I'm not saying anything else, but we're getting to that also. It's all gonna be covered, I think. So now we have the tip number 9, and this one I was pondering back and forth for quite a while whether I should even include this, because I decided to do it because it's something, it has a lot to do with buying guitars, and there are so much jokes and memes and everything about it, but it's not really ever anywhere, at least I haven't found it ever addressed in a proper way. So I'm gonna do it now. So let's try. What the hell? Let me show you an image. A meme, I guess these are called. To those who are following this as a podcast and can't see the image. So there's a text. When your wife asks, "Is that a new guitar?" And then there's this suspiciously snake-eyeing dog in the photo. Looking very suspicious. Okay, it's not the best meme. And no intention whatsoever to compare wives and dogs. Sorry. If that, nothing of that sort. My point is the contrary. Look, there's a million memes and jokes about how wives hate it when the husband buys guitars. I haven't seen that much how husbands hate when their wives buy guitars. But I guess that is the future scenario. More and more, especially in the modern time where more and more women play guitar. So all genders, all types of relationships equally included here. I do apologize if I use wrong terms in some way. No means to disqualify or put anybody in an unequal position. So anyways, as I know from my statistics, really most, like 99.9% of the viewers, of the listeners, of this broadcast are men. So let's address this. Even if this is where it gets difficult, this is more a job for Dr. Phil than me. But Dr. Juha, why not? Dr. Juha, here we go. Here comes the tip number 9. Look, if you live in a situation where those rather unfortunate memes and jokes are more than jokes, if they are reality in some way, if you're living in this kind of situation, and hey, I know not all relationships are like this, so you know who you are, you know where you stand, so don't take it personally. But if these jokes, let's look at another one. Okay, so we have a black guitar, black Les Paul, and there's a text: buy all of your guitars in the same color, then your spouse can't tell when you've bought a new one. Yeah. So guys, if this is more than a joke in your life for you, now, how about, listen carefully, how about instead of dwelling in this rather depressive, cynical mentality, what if instead you take a good long look in the mirror? Now, are you supportive? Are you taking part? Are you positively engaged in your spouse's interests, her hobbies, her passions? No? Well, an example from my life. Remember, Dr. Phil, Dr. Juha. My life, that's the only life I really know anything about. So here goes. Now, I love my wife. I adore her. So I find it very important that I give my support to her so she can express her interests and do her hobbies, whatever they are. I get enjoyment out of her enjoyment, And the same way, vice versa. I remember years and years ago, a friend of mine was selling this super rare Fender Custom Shop Dual Professional Combo amplifier, like a Fender Twin, but done like miles, different planet, done so well, beautiful sounding, point to point, with the best parts on the market and everything. A clean tone monster that amp was. So my friend, the owner of he had this amp serviced and changed it this full, matched set of new old stock Jan Phillips 7581A 6L6 set, the holy grail of clean tone new old stock power tubes, and the sound, this amplifier is just bliss. Now, did I need the amplifier? Absolutely not. But I wanted it so bad. You know how it can be. Well, in our family, me and my wife, we talk about our passions, our hobbies, our interests. I mean, my wife, she loves to do macrame, sewing, knitting, all sorts of beautiful handicraft stuff. Now, I don't do that stuff myself, but it doesn't mean, that I wouldn't want to know anything about it or to be part of her joy in doing what she loves to do. So back to that Fender amp. I had it at our shop and I was noodling with it. My wife was there too, and I was coming up with all the excuses, the sensible reasons in the world why I should not buy the amp. I tried to talk myself out of it. It was unnecessarily big, 100 watts. Who needs that these days? It was a custom shop rarity, with a price tag to match. And okay, I could afford it at that point of time, but I was really wrestling with it because I loved that sound. And so my wife, my darling wife Emma, goes like, I think you should really have it. It sounds just heavenly. I think you should have it. I think you should buy it. Now, you could see what followed. Who was I to argue against that? So, okay, I admit it may be slightly different for us from the average, especially in guitars, given the fact that our lives revolve a lot around guitars anyways. I mean, Emma likes guitars too, but it doesn't change the fact that being interested in each other's lives, in our relationships, in our, with our spouses, it does make life, well, more joyous, more. That's why you're together. Come on. So, so I'm gonna say one more thing about this. So your part here is to support your spouse, and don't expect when you have supported her for 24 hours that the following day, if you have this issue in your family, don't expect that then you can go out and buy something. And that's not the way it works. Your job is to just support her. That's your job. She has to support you on her own. She has to want it on her own. So it's going to take time if you have this issue. So it's going to take time. But you'll be surprised one day. Yeah. Unconditional, people. Unconditional. Let's move on. Love Dr. Juha has spoken. So, yeah, okay, people are coming up with these jokes. No, my biggest fear is when I die, my wife will sell my guitars for what I told her. What I told her they cost. Yeah, this is one of those. There's T-shirts and there's all these, all this stuff. Yeah. Okay. But am I right? I mean, is this something about all these all these memes and these jokes, there's an endless amount of them. Google it. I did. I Googled it today to find those two. I mean, there's just endless amount of that stuff. And everybody keeps referring to it. So I guess it's somewhat of this kind of memes, these jokes, they have some reality. They have truth behind it. So, and I don't feel it's really properly addressed. So, yeah. What do we have here? We have Puninja saying, never hide your toy purchases from your spouse. Unless you're a professional working musician, you're buying a toy. Yeah, it's true. You're buying a toy. And that's also a good point, to not take this too seriously. It is toys. Okay, and Bucket of Noises says, I talked myself into not buying a Tone King Imperial for 3 to 4 years. I resisted for so long and I got it last week. Am I weak? You tell me. I think you really wanted it, right? You talk yourself into not buying, but now I think, congratulations. It's a great amplifier. Okay, moving on. We have one left, number 10, and we're already over time. Now we're kind of going there again. Too bad. It's going to be a little bit over time now. I'll try to sharpen up. Number 10, I mentioned in the beginning that this would be our reference point, a brain calibration piece of advice. So, well, how I often say, what is a good guitar? Well, it's the one that makes you want to play more. It's the one that inspires you. So this ties together beautifully with the wise words by Tom Anderson when I asked him in an interview a few weeks ago if he'd have any advice for those on the lookout for a new guitar. So instead of me quoting Tom, let's give the word to Tom himself. So people, here comes the tip number 10.
My advice is, and what I tell people, even if they're looking at our guitars versus PRS versus Sir versus Collings, whatever it is, they've narrowed their search down to something. What they need to do is play them.
Yeah.
And after you've been playing the different models, when you realize that one has been in your lap longer than all the others, because it's the one that speaks to you, that's the one you should buy. Well, whether it's $1,000 or $4,000.
Yeah.
It's almost like I wish people would close their eyes when they try out guitars, because people are so heavily influenced by what they're seeing that they listen with their eyes.
Yeah.
And I think if people would just if the store would allow someone to just get comfortable and sit down and play guitar without the store owner telling you all the good things about that guitar and all the reasons you should buy it, if they would just play the guitar and then try another one and then go back to the other one. That whole testing where you play one, play the other one, and then go back to the first one again, because it may make a very different impression on you after playing the second guitar. Just play a bunch of guitars. Get as comfortable as you can with them. Play the things you want to play. Don't try to play something, to impress the owner of the store or whatever, because they're not going to be impressed anyway. Yeah. Buy the one that you love.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. What is there to add? Buy the one you love. Nothing to add. Nothing to add. Well, I do have one thing to add though. Tom already said it though, but I'll just underline it. Really. And this is addressing now. Somebody asked about this or commented in the chat. You have to go out there. You have to try different guitars. It is not so easy these days, I know. Online stores, global market, pandemic, whatever, whatnot. if you're on the lookout for something a bit more exotic, well, like my guitar, for example, there won't likely be a store near you. So what then? What do you do in these days? Well, who said it's easy to find that dream guitar? You need to work hard. Make an effort. It shouldn't even be easy to find that guitar. If you can't find the guitar close by, then you'll need to travel further. You need to plan. You need to make it happen. Okay, you can't travel now. Well, then you have to wait, or you have to reach out to the networks to find out if someone has one of those guitars you want, or maybe the luthier or someone. If it's a handmade guitar like that you're looking after, contact that luthier. Maybe they can figure out something. Maybe there's some guitar somewhere. The point being here, as Master Tom Anderson said in his very lovable, unassuming way, buy what you love. And buying what you love, finding what you love, it takes an effort from you. It's not supposed to be easy. That's also a significant part of the fun, of the journey, of the exploration of, finding that holy grail. Or if you're collecting that next holy grail, whatever you're doing, whatever gives you that joy. Yeah. So we conclude with Tom Anderson's wise words. That was a lot of buying stuff. A lot of buying. So let's conclude in a gentle reminder. Please do remember, in the midst of all this spending frenzy, that as important as it is to have good tools or good toys, good tools, good toys, it is also essential to know how to use your tools. In other words, now the video is over, the stream is over, let's practice, because and I shouldn't be saying this. I'm making guitars. I'm making my living selling guitars. So I shouldn't be saying this to you, but I'm saying it anyway. So I'm shooting my own leg. Damn it. By buying, we learn how to buy. And by playing, we learn how to play. That's the truth. No matter how many guitars you buy, that's not going to teach you play. Only playing will teach you to play. That is the ultimate truth. I have a question there about our guitar models, non-locking, not floating tremolos. We'll get back to that stuff later, because now it's time to call it a day. But let's break this one. Bucket of Noises says, find what you love and let it kill you. Was that Bukowski? I don't know who that was, but I like that. It's very poetic, very romantic idea. Dramatic as well, but anyway. That's life. Yeah. So, all right, dudes, dudettes, isn't that what they say in America? Dudes and dudettes. I have to ask my wife tonight if she's willing to be my dudette. Oh God. Dr. Juha signing out for today. Next week, let's continue in a bit similar topic, because now we've discussed buying guitars. Well, we could continue with the little things, because I have scribbled to my notes over the years some of the most essential tools and accessories that I think every guitarist should own. I don't mean like a slide. You should own a slide, or probably many different kinds of slides. If you play slide, sure, but if you're not into that, you don't have to own one. So we're discussing essentials, okay? essentials that every guitarist should have. Tools and accessories that you should own, that make your life easier. And some might even help you on your journey to become a better player. Who knows? These tips will inevitably, they will include some trade secrets, meaning I will show you the exact types of those particular accessories, those tools that I use, that we use here at the shop. Some I've learned from pro guitarists, guitar techs, so it will be all top secret, highly, highly confidential stuff from me to you. Don't tell anybody else. Next week it's going to be the little big things. The little big things. That's what we're going to do. Good night, Damien. Good night, everyone. Take care now. Look after your loved ones. Spread the word to more guitar dudes, guitar dudettes by liking, by sharing to your social medias. Yeah. Peace, love, and good music. Yeah. So we're gonna see you next week. Bye bye.